Look at those little buggers. How nice. Say, did you ever wonder where we got the word slippery from? Let's take a boo, shall we? The word traces its roots back to Old English, where it was originally slipper, spelled like slip with an or on the end. Back then, as now, it meant something difficult to grasp or stand on. Over the years, the meaning of slip-or didn't change much, but its pronunciation did. By Middle English, it had transformed into sliper, but retained its original meaning, a testament to how going ass over tea kettle or dropping a greasy cat doesn't really change much over time. The first attested use of slippery, as we know it today, dates back to the late 14th century. It's fascinating, isn't it? I think that's about the time people started adding y to things in order to make them into adjectives. That's only conjecture, mind you. Isn't it odd how certain words hold on to their meanings, remaining consistent even as the world around them changes? Well, like I said, falling on your ass and dropping stuff doesn't change much, perhaps. So there you go. Slippery has been around since Old English, adding a y a minute ago, but generally keeping its meaning. A great place to slip is at a pool, but where do we get pool from in English? Well, like slippery, we get it from English. Back to Old English again, the term poll, with just one O. Originally, poll meant a small body of stagnant water. Over time, the term carried into Middle English, retaining its spelling but evolving in meaning. Vowel shenanigans started happening here too, so that eventually its pronunciation came to resemble how we'd say the double O spelling these days. Semantic shenanigans happened as well. Pool came to represent not just small bodies of water, but larger ones too. It wasn't until the 19th century that pool started to be used to refer to a purpose-built swimming facility. This is when the concept of public bathing or swimming areas began to gain popularity, particularly in Britain. One can only assume that the concept of private bathing existed from before this time, but that's just conjecture again. Keeping your noodle covered when you're at a pool is simply good manners. But where did English get the word noodle from? 18th century German, that's where. Strange, right? Just when you'd want to guess Italy or China, here comes the German word Noodle. This humble term, used to describe a variety of pasta-like dishes, is the earliest known origin of our beloved noodle. Noodle first appears in English from the late 18th century. Some theories suggest that the word travelled from German to English through migration. As people moved in search of new opportunities, they carried with them their language, their recipes, and yes, their noodles. Others propose that the word was adopted through trade. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. When did people start using noodle as a euphemism for male genitalia? Spaghetti and meatballs, as it were. This appears to have first emerged in the mid-1900s. I'm going to call conjectural BS here. I bet this went on long before then, but was only found in text from the 20th century. Here's a fun thesis idea to have a funding agency reject. Create a list of nouns in a handful of your favourite languages and divide it into categories based on physical features like being generally cylindrical, rod-like, or any other feature shared with a penis. Then, based on each noun's number of features, calculate the probability of that noun being used as a dong euphemism across the different target languages you're looking at. I'd bet 2 slippery wieners that you'll discover, regardless of language, that if a thing is even vaguely similar to a penis, then that language will use it as a dad joke to talk about male junk. So yeah, keep your noodle in your pants. It's really just good manners at the end of the day, and probably good hygiene as well. Incidentally, pool noodles, those godforsaken foam floaty things that have probably saved countless lives, those became a thing in the early 1980s. They were invented by a company called Watercrunch in Ontario, Canada. So there you have it, where we got slippery, pool and noodle from. Slippery has meant slippery since Old English. Pool used to mean just a little pond. Noodle comes from German, and pool noodles come from Ontario. What a time to be alive. Have a nice rest of your day. Goodbye.